What's going on, everybody? I know it's been a while since I made a video, so I figured I'd make a video. When I made my last video, I was getting ready to finish up the semester and go on my deployment. I ended up going to Afghanistan. I was in country for 9 months and going for a total of 10. And then I had went on military leave for 3 months from the reserves. Those of you who don't know, because I still get questioned on where am I stationed. I'm a reservist, so I get stationed next to my house pretty much, and I go 1 week in a month. So I had 3 months off from military drill, and went back right back to working full time like a week after I got back. Some people they like to take about a month off when they get back because we're still getting paid military leave when we get back. But I decided to go back right away. Um, so I was working full time, and then I was going to school and working full time, and then I started working full time again. But I had another job. I ended up getting a new job. But this job required me to work like 70 hours a week, because we had to get the place open. And then now I'm back down to 40 hours a week, but now I'm about to be going to school full time, or I am going to school full time again. So I'm doing both again. So I figured while I had this downtime, I'd be able to make this video for you on how to stay physically fit. Um, I'm going to start off by saying that this is my advice. This is what I've seen work for myself, and I've seen it work for my other battles. Um, so if you don't agree with it, you don't have to agree with it. I'm just trying to show people different ways that I've seen work in the past, and I hope that this video helps out somebody, or a lot of people that are preparing to go to basic training. If you try to just do something in everyday life, even after basic training, because some people tend to fall out of shape, anything of that nature. I hope that this helps you out. So I'm gonna start off by first saying that if you don't like working out, it's completely normal. There's a lot of people in the military that don't like working out. Contrary to what society thinks, society is like, oh, you joined the military, you must be, really strong, blah blah. Like for me, I have weighed like 110 pounds, and I'm up to like 170 right now. Since high school, which was 5 years ago, and people are like, oh, you joined the military, but I'm like, please, military is not like me getting big at the gym. They like me doing simple things like push-ups and sit-ups and runs. You know, this is all my choice. It wasn't the military's choice. Trust me. So if you don't like working out, trust me, you're not alone. Especially if you're in a combat support role. A lot of people I went to basic training with, they didn't personally like working out at all. Uh, some people end up getting a like for it. Some people know that they have to do it anyway. Especially you guys going combat. MOS is a lot of the combat MOS is commenting on my videos, so you better get used to liking physical fitness, because it's gonna be day and night. It's gonna be day and night in basic training. It's gonna be a lifestyle. You're in the military, you might as well just get used to liking it in general. Um, anyway, so I'm gonna get started with how to improve on your push-ups for your PT test. Um, one thing about push-ups and improving push-ups that I've seen and have experienced is doing push-ups on a consecutive basis. Now, people would disagree with me and tell me that you end up straining something, blah 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 blah, whatever. Um, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I highly recommend that, because when you go to basic training, you get smoked, and when you get smoked, the majority of what you do is push-ups. You're mostly in the front leaning rest position, which is the push-up position. For those of you who don't know yet, so you do push-ups every day, multiple times a day, especially in the first 3 weeks during red phase. So it's something that you kind of get used to. And what I remember from basic training that I'll never forget is what they do is they push you until your muscle failure, and then they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I had a high tolerance when I went to basic. I could have banged out 60 push-ups in a couple minutes. Actually, my first PT test, I did like 61 push-ups in 2 minutes. Next PT test was like 70 in 2 minutes. The next one was like 76 for the blue phase PT test. And I went to AIT, I did like 86, and that was like the most I've ever done. Um, Simply because it's so stupid. I'm not gonna max the sit-ups or the run, and the run. So, there's no point. Like at the time it was 71. Now my max is 75. So I'll just do 75 and just get up after that. And I pretty much do 75 on a constant basis now. Another thing that people like doing training while doing training push-ups is to do like you do your normal grip, and then you do your wider grip, and then you do your closer grip. That helps out people too. Doesn't really help me out. I don't really care much about it. But good recommendation. You know, it's actually one of the things that the military recommends that you do to improve on your push-ups. Another thing to do is doing push-ups on knees. Now, there's actually a lot of females and some males. Actually, there's a good amount of males that they, especially those that are bigger. It's hard for them to even do one push-up. Um, so doing push-ups on the knees definitely helps out. Um, It'll kind of get those muscles working. You kind of just lean forward, and eventually you'll build those chest muscles to the point where you'll be able to do more and more push-ups, and it'll definitely work out over time. Another thing I recommend that people do is pull-ups. Obviously, if you can't do push-ups, I've never really seen anybody be able to do push-ups and to not do push-ups and be able to do pull-ups. So they have the assisted pull-ups as well. You set a weight and then you continuously get better at it. Or even doing like hitting up lower back. If you can like hit up the whole back in general, that helps you out stay in the front lean and rest position, be able to stay there longer because your back's stronger. When you're carrying your rucksack for your ruck marches, that'll help you out as well because a lot of people they have a problem with just carrying all that weight. Even though your back does get stronger throughout basic training, you want a head start. I would try to get a strong back. That'll do nothing but help you out. And another piece of advice that people will probably disagree with me on, but I'll say it anyway, is lifting weights. I think that lifting weights definitely helps out in your push-ups. I've experienced it firsthand. I only do push-ups when I do PT tests. I very rarely do push-ups in general. Sometimes I'll do them on chest days, but that's about it. And it's helped me just fine. But one thing about lifting weights is when you're lifting weights, especially if you're struggling with the 2 mile run or whatever mile run for basic, you want to make sure that you maintain your cardio. Especially if those of you guys that are losing weight or the skinny and they're getting bigger, because the weight change would definitely mess up with your cardio. So you want to make sure that you kind of do that hand in hand, kind of make time for both. And I'll talk more about cardio when I talk about the 2 mile run, but I'm gonna move on to sit-ups. Thing about sit-ups, it's one of the hardest things for people to train because I don't know. It's just one problem that people have with sit-ups is they have weak abs. In that case, you just continue to work abs to get your abs stronger. In my case, my abs are pretty strong. So another thing I like to recommend is to hit up your adductors and abductors. So this and this on the other side, right over here. It'll actually help out a lot with your sit-ups because you actually use your adductor and abductors when you do your sit-ups. Without you, I don't know if you realize it or not. And another thing is if you have weak abductors and adductors, once you're done with your sit-ups, it kind of tires out your legs even more for the run. So if you can strengthen those up, that'll help out a lot. Another thing that helps out is with your feet together or your feet apart. That makes a huge difference. That I've noticed from my experience, because when I had first joined the Army, I used to do sit-ups with my feet together. Now with your feet together, it mostly works out your legs. So if you have naturally really strong legs, it's probably not going to bother you. But for me, I'd rather use my core. So I'm going to put my feet further apart. You have up to 12 inches apart. So I'm going to do that. And that helps out a lot for me. Another thing is that I wouldn't recommend doing sit-ups with your feet on like a pole. Will help, yeah, but I think the real experience of someone actually being able to hold your feet if you have that person available is so much better, because a pole, I can do that day and night. I can rest my feet on whatever, and it's no big deal. But actually a person holding your feet, it definitely makes it a lot tougher. And so when I was in basic training, that's what people were doing to improve on sit-ups. They would have somebody, personal time letters and income or whatever, they would have somebody hold their feet, and they would continue to do sit-ups. And they eventually ended up, getting it better and better and improving on their sit-ups on the PT test. So that's my recommendation for that. And then last but not least, the one that everyone usually hits the most, my least favorite, is the 2 mile run. Not only is it because it's last, but because, it doesn't last 2 minutes like push-ups and sit-ups do. It lasts for 2 miles. So my recommendation for improving on the 2 miles is I like to do sprints. So you'll do these in basic, but 30-60s. 30. If for those of you who don't know what 30-60s are, it's 30 seconds of sprinting and 60 seconds of walking. 30 seconds of sprinting, 60 seconds of walking. So you want to kind of build your way up. Do it like a couple, and then you do a few, and then you do 5 or 6, and you get in the hang of it, and then you can move on to what they call 61-20s, which is 60 seconds of sprinting, 120 seconds of walking. This will help you out on your 2-mile run significantly because it's going to get your cardiovascular up real quick. It's actually I can't remember the terminology, but it's actually one of the best ways to burn fat is doing that method. And everybody actually really liked it. It was very motivational in basic training because, you're doing 30-60s and while you're sprinting, you're just trying to race people or beat people or, for me, it was how far to the other side of the track could I get in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So it definitely helped me out tremendously. Another thing I recommend is if you're fragile or you're really, really, really out of cardiovascular shape, start with the little things, walking outside, working your way up, doing some light jogs, or doing some airborne shuffle type of stuff. Work your way up more and more and more. Now, some people disagree with me on this as well, but I really don't recommend running on a treadmill. Reason why is because running outside is a completely different environment. You can be running up and downhill, you're running on concrete, you're breathing in air, especially if you're living up north or you're going to somewhere like Fort Leonard Wood in this winter time. Your lungs have to adjust to the cold weather. So I personally recommend running outside or walking outside as opposed to going into the gym. Is it a great alternative? Yeah, it's a great alternative, but I personally prefer going outside and just doing it. That's just my opinion. Another thing is when you are going to train for a mile or two, 1 mile, 2 miles, whatever the case may be, run longer. If you're going to run distance, run longer, because what that does is it makes 2 miles or a mile seem so much shorter. When I was in Afghanistan, I did a lot of 5Ks, or beginning of deployment I did at least. Beginning of deployment I was doing a lot of 5Ks. I did the 4.2 mile run for Pat Tillman. So 5K is 3.1 miles for those of you who don't know. So if there's any 5Ks in your area, try to train up for that. If you walk the whole thing the first time, great, whatever. At least you did it. Next time, try to jog a little bit. If you take breaks, try to, take less breaks and then try to run it straight through and then try to run it faster. There's always ways to improve. Through running 5Ks or running 3 miles in general. Try to pick a point on, what I used to do was, I would Google map from my house to my friend's house, and I would take that exact route. Don't cut through. Take that exact route, whether there's hills or not. If there's hills, it's only going to benefit you, trust me. And if you're running back, it's going to even out either way. So that definitely helps out for me. And then, like I said, it's going to make that distance seem a lot shorter because, I was running 3.1 miles and I go to run a PT test and I'm like, this is nothing. It's like a 5K is 2 laps around when I was overseas. And so a 2 mile is basically, the concept of that is pretty much like a lap and a little bit more instead of the full 2 laps. So you're like, oh, this is nothing. I can go faster. And, your body gets used to it, because your body's used to running longer distances. So it'll allow you to go faster when you have to run those shorter distances. And, that goes with anything. I personally like doing sprints to train, but, I'll do distance too. It's no big deal. I actually want to do, I was going to do Rugged Maniac this year because I'm not familiar, I haven't really done too many obstacle course races for long distance. I was going to do Rugged Maniac, which is a 3-mile obstacle course this year, before I started doing Spartan race type things, but I didn't get to do it this year, so maybe I'll try it next year, train up for that at the time. But yeah, definitely try to get yourself into that type of stuff. It's definitely motivational. It's only going to benefit you. Trust me, it's not going to harm you. And the more upper hand you have physically in basic training and after basic training, the better, easier your experience is going to be. Because, you got a lot of guys that, for males, I think when you go to basic, you have to run a mile in 8:30. There's guys running 10-minute miles, 11-minute miles, Recruiters Lion, putting whatever times they want, and then they end up sucking. It just makes the basic training experience just so much harder. Just, prepare yourself beforehand. Get in shape. Get physically in shape. It's going to make your experience so much easier. It actually might make the whole basic training in general seem easy or easier because, you were already in shape. You didn't have to worry about getting in shape because it was no big deal. You just, you're getting put to the test now, doing things that you haven't done, getting pushed harder than you might have not pushed yourself before, but at least you're in some type of shape where it comes a lot easier to you than it comes to this guy that, he didn't run at all before basic training. He never did any research. He doesn't even know what drill sergeants are. And as much as you laugh, this actually happens. I wouldn't tell you this shit actually happens. People don't realize what experience they're in for. So as long as you have the upper hand, you do your research, you stay physically fit, you guys should have no problem. If you guys have any other suggestions, you guys can leave it in the comments below. If you guys have any questions for me, you can leave it in the comments below. Any other suggestions on what videos I should make. It can be military related, life related, I don't really care. I'll do research, or I'll give you my past experience. But I try my best to help you out. Just please subscribe to the video. If you have any friends that want to join the military and they have some advice, you can show them my past videos, this video. You guys can all subscribe, whatever. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.